3, 2, 1. It is great to see you guys again.
Hey, good to see you too.
After a few technical errors. But, yeah, so if anyone hears it in the background, it's not static. It's the fucking rain.
Yeah, it's coming down.
We have had ridiculous... Because we did a comedy show. We did a Don't Tell, which is basically like it's a nationwide like touring thing where they go to a random... Like this last venue was in a record store in San Mateo. And we, halfway through the comedy show, it just starts pouring fucking rain. And I'm like, okay, I'm the only one here with a truck.
Yeah.
Damn.
And there are 40 chairs. So we had to drive downtown to the comedy club, unload all the shit, and then it took me, because dry heat's off of like Second and Gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 minutes from here to there. It took me 40 minutes to get back.
Man.
Because, like, you guys were saying, y'all's shit was stranded.
Yeah, man.
And, like,
People were driving crazy.
Yeah, it was dumb as fuck.
I just got the Jeep not too long ago, so I was a little
Yeah.
hyped. Yeah, I was just like splashing people. I was like giving people car washes.
The album is fucking amazing.
I appreciate that.
By the way.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you.
I have to... there it is. Okay, Royalty's my favorite.
Royalty?
Bet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
I don't know why.
I think
But I listened to that whole thing like 3 times. I was like,
Yeah.
that one it's all amazing.
Thank you.
Like, I wish that there was like someone from the industry that I could just grab by the ears and bring them down to Albuquerque for
Means
a
a lot,
weekend
bro.
and be like, we have
Appreciate
some
that.
fucking killers here, man. Seriously,
that.
you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank
How
you.
long did it take to make? Because that's my only complaint about it is I wish there was more.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know you probably feel the same way.
There's a couple straggler records on my laptop.
Yeah.
They'll come out in a little bit.
Yeah, they'll come. But these 7 songs just felt right. They all felt like an album. Like it just came together so organically with songs that we had had ideas out for and just kind of like skeletons and stuff, and then fresh ideas. We actually decided to just do a retreat because we were like, at first we were going to release a single, right? I was like, I want to put this out, but there was just this body of work that had to come together. So we were like, let's just go away from all the distractions. And so we got an Earthship out in Taos. And
You got a what in Taos?
An Earthship. You never heard of
An
an
Earthship?
Look it up.
Oh my gosh.
There's like a
You have to-
community. Look at it.
You have to Google this.
my
Okay.
God.
Taos
So-
Earthship community.
What is the best way to describe an Earthship? I feel like
When people with money care about the planet.
So it's a rarity, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So the greater world Earthship community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are talking about?
It's like
Taos,
a thing.
yeah.
Is it?
And it says
Taos?
visit Earthship biotexture.
Yeah, man.
Is that it?
So essentially, Earthships are like dwellings that are made to be as like copacetic with the surrounding nature as possible. It utilizes the natural elements of the land to like heat and cool it, to run its water systems and like
y'all
plumbing.
Y'all went to the Shire, dude.
Man, it was fun.
It looks
was
crazy
fun.
on the outside. It's like, oh, it's shabby, but you
The
go.
ones is cool.
It's
Yeah, that's
beautiful. Like the one we stayed in was beautiful.
They're all facing a certain way, and they're all like everything is very deliberate about it. So you catch the sun at the right angles like all season.
So
There's
you
no
can either warm it or cool it accordingly.
Yeah. There's no like actual AC or heating system.
Oh,
venting.
shit.
Like
You
a-
either open up the blinds to catch the morning sun and heat it up, or you keep them closed to keep it cool. And if it does get hot, there's like these like pulley systems to like let off heat from in the ceiling,
Yeah.
or
it's-
bring in cool air.
That's
So
actually kind of cool.
yeah, it's sick.
All of the water, so the toilets flush with the recycled like rainwater and like the gray water.
So you have indoor plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like super
Very
super
civilized.
fancy.
Cool.
Like it like
Nah, because I've been, I watch the news, and me and my
Yeah.
friends watch the news, and we have a couple of drinks, and
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, man, I don't want to survive the apocalypse. Not because like I don't want to get killed or nothing, but I love my indoor plumbing.
Yeah.
I need.
Can't shit outside.
it was like
Yeah,
super modern.
What?
I have shit outside.
I mean,
and
we
it
do,
is-
right?
It is
We
not
got to.
fun.
It's not. But no, the one we stayed in specifically was like the modern Earthship like model. So
Right.
it was like sleek, like like stainless steel counters. Like it was.
Oh
it
shit!
was, it was
Most
dope.
importantly, it's surrounded by nature.
Right.
I think that was the main
Like
thing.
360 view, because
Yeah.
like literally the whole east wall is all windows.
You're just immersed. There's something special about being so close to nature and like tapping into that, and that's really what we wanted. And going away and focusing and being deliberate about finishing this album, I needed to be in nature. Like I needed to be able to, first of all, like just wake up, get to music, you know, stay up as late, like not worry about what the sun was doing, just making music, you know? And then just being in that space where it's like you can just walk outside and just breathe fresh air. You can, you know, watch the sunrise and sunset. There's no, you can see the stars. You know what I mean?
Immaculate.
Like, it's like a dome. It's like you're, I don't know how to describe, like you're in a planetarium, but you're like
people-
really out there.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, people lose the value of seeing stars.
Yeah,
You know what I
especially when
mean?
you're creating something like, you know, you look at the vastness, it looks like infinity. And
Well, I
then
mean, whenever
Yeah.
I used to take mushrooms, I would always end up like looking up.
yeah,
That was always
Yes.
my
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Like, cause people, like, you know, like what I would do is I would throw in like earbuds and listen to music, and I just end up like I look around, like find funny shit or watch many things on YouTube for the
Yeah.
first hour, but then like the last
as soon
eight-
as it's like, bloop,
yeah,
you're
it's
like,
like,
Yeah.
oh, oh,
Cause
yeah, yeah, there's a god up there.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's there's actually a piece of the brain that's very integral to creation that is spawned into action by like beholding beauty. So when you behold natural beauty, it just does something to you on a scientific brain level and a soul level, you know?
Well, there's a conspiracy about the reason why Western architecture is so, like, they call it always like modern or anything. Okay, first of all, before I get into my
I'm like,
tinfoil
what?
hat shit, I want to say thank you for the shirt. The
Oh,
shirt's
no
fucking
doubt.
badass.
Sure, appreciate you.
Is this for sale anywhere?
Yeah,
Do you
we got
okay.
'em.
Where
Yeah.
can people find these?
DM me
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
at
Yeah.
Scott Loves Life
Fucking
or
love
at
it.
Better Sense.
And this is how you know these people actually pay attention and, you know, give thoughtful gifts. They gave me fucking coasters.
Yes.
I've needed ghosts.
And now you got him. You good.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a conspiracy theory that they call it modern architecture with Western buildings and how they're like skyscrapers,
Yeah.
how they're basically all like one giant window and that type of shit.
Yeah.
But there's a theory that that's purposeful to take away the creative part of, like, to help like dumb down the creative part of the brain, to take away inspiration passively. It's like how people say, oh, they put a fucking chemical in the water that like calcifies
Fluoride.
the
Oh,
fluoride.
Yeah.
They put fluoride in the water to
Absolutely.
Pacify.
Although these aren't
Yeah.
these
Oh,
are
that's real.
conspiracies.
Oh, yeah, no, oh, yeah.
This is real.
Oh, no, that's
and,
real.
and I even think what you're saying about these elements that are changed to change our psyche and change our spirit, I don't think that's conspiracy, because
Nah,
we
fuck no.
see it with like all the like hate and division and checking out and the distractions and the
I'm proud to announce that the podcast is now officially sponsored by the fine people over at Chop Chili Company. Guys, this is some of the best chili you can get here in the state of New Mexico, and they are online as well as in stores. They can be found at Smith's, Albertsons, Sprouts, John Brooks, and Lowe's Corner Market. They have 3 amazing flavors that you see here, and they also have frozen green chili that you can get online. Go on over to the website, chopchilico.com, and get yourself some amazing chili today. Podcast is now officially sponsored by the amazing people over at High Desert Relief, a premier herbal destination right here in the state of New Mexico. They have extremely well-trained and knowledgeable staff that are more than happy to help you find what you're looking for, or try something that you maybe have never thought of. They have 2 locations here in Albuquerque, 1 in Santa Fe. All 3 will be listed right here and in the description of this episode. All 3 offering legendary products at absolutely legendary prices, including this awesome merch that they were so kind enough to gift me here. All of this can be found at all 3 of their locations. Again, big thank you to the guys over at HDR for supporting. Now back to the episode. Well, because you think about it too, like over the last let's say we're 2024, so the last like 40 years, 35, 40 years, a lot of the most creative people tend to be European or British. And those are some of the last countries that have like the old school architecture. And obviously like places like London and shit like that have more modernized and all that type of shit. But a lot of the best creatives in media right now, like especially like in movies and TV shows, are all Europeans and British, and just, they're across the pond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we just have what the fuck is going on over here.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's, and I think with how advanced we've become, how much technology has become a part of our lives, there is something, you see a lot of people, like 15 years ago, it was, oh, look at these fucking, I mean, 60 years ago, it even was like Woodstock and all that, but, you know, it's like, oh, look at these fucking hippies. They're going to go to an Earth ship, you bunch of dorks. But now
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, but now, like, post-COVID, it's like, oh, we're supposed to get sun.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be drinking, like, drinkable natural water.
Right.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be like waking up with the sun, getting, you know, proper air. We're supposed to be eating regular food. Like, I know you guys are still on the vegan shit, right? Yeah. So
plant-based.
Yeah, plant-based. Yeah. So, you know, it's like to each their own, but you know, we're supposed to be eating natural food. Now, granted, I had a fat fucking meal at Wendy's today, but besides the point.
But for the most part, right?
For the most part,
we're
supposed to be eating naturally, and you're supposed to be doing all these things that, you know, like everything that you were describing about that
experience,
shit up in Taos, it's like, they're just saying how we're supposed to be living, and that's starting to come back into the culture, which makes me very happy.
Yeah, man.
People recognize. I mean, everybody, by all means, like, do you like? We can't put. It would be very anti-artist of me to put restrictions on, like, or me telling someone, the next person, how to make their art or whatever inspires them. You know, however, like maybe they make their best song after they like eat a fat burger. I don't know, like, okay. For me, I'll get the itis, you know. But I feel good after I, you know, eat some fruit and some veggies and drink a bunch of water and I'm hydrated. But all of that to say, like, what a special experience. And I just feel so. It was like I feel so just good about every single song. Sometimes when you create, I feel like stuff comes out and you're just like, maybe, you know, do I love it? I don't know. But everything that we touched out there feels really good. It feels
well, and it was just you two, right?
Yeah.
There's something about, I mean, community of all different sizes of people in a confined area, but there is something about having a community that you trust and being able to create inside of that space. There's something to that, because again, to be able to express freely, really get your thoughts out, really think these things through, and then to take into a place where there's next to no technology.
For sure.
I mean, there's value in that.
The biggest thing for that trip for me was she hasn't really been in a space where there's like no distraction. Like your only choice really with your time is to do what you say you love doing, you know?
Yeah, so that time looked like, you know, I'm like literally we're resting, we're hydrating and, you know, eating in between. But, you know, I'm like noodling around on my guitar and I'm like writing just any bars that come to mind in my app, or, you know, I'm just going and looking out in the distance and just like humming, you know, whatever. Like every moment I'm doing something that is to the goal, which is just to like create. So that's what was so special about it, because it seemed like every moment was geared toward that. And I think a lot of times, you know, in life, when you come back down to earth from the earth ship, it's like, you know, there's so many, like you said, distractions. So it's just, and you can hear it. You can hear the focus. I think that's what it is. Like you can hear the focus. You can hear the refinement. You can hear.
That's one of my favorite songs by you guys, by the way, is Focus.
Focus.
I was listening to that like last week. I was like, yeah, that shit's good. It's just still good, man.
Yeah, I love that song because it was like, truthfully, that album, Focus, was the one where I was
might want to come like a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, Focus was the one where I was like, man, this is a good song. And she was like, I don't know. And if you could guess which one on the new one was that for me, like the opposite was like 24/7. She like loved that song, and at first I was like, let's just see where it goes.
Yeah, I was pushing for it. I'm like, I want to get this goes on the album.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to build that kind of trust creatively, where it's like, no,
I'll
like,
let her answer that.
we have to go back and forth and have conversations, obviously, but whoever gets the final decision, the person that's making the bigger side of the compromise, right, has to trust that other person's decision.
Well, honestly, if I can start
go ahead.
At first, there really wasn't a back and forth. It was kind of like, let me just show you how to do it real quick. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of teaching, like from a technical standpoint.
From a
when you're making music, there's I can be an amazing singer, but there's some technical knowledge that needs to be bestowed in order to make a high level, something sonically high level.
Because recording is a technique. So it's like, so like, let me show you like
tech in general.
Yeah.
We that comedy show we did a couple weeks ago, we were fucking around with the audio for me and my buddy AJ were fucking around with the audio for 2.5 hours just for it to not work. And we were like, all right, well, we're back to the drawing board. No, it's a real skill.
Yeah.
People think producing at any level is just you're pressing a couple buttons.
No.
You're putting on some headphones, trying to tweak to see how things. No, it's like you're actually like.
There's a science.
And the trust that it's like, it doesn't sound good, take one, but it will sound good. Give it like 30 minutes, you know, like just keep going. But speaking to the trust factor, how long?
It's always ever evolving. Like we're constantly building that trust and kind of carving out new spaces where we can really connect and dive in and go, deeper. But I think I had a moment where it was a moment where after the teaching, he taught me, basic setup, how to record myself, everything. He's like, I forget what had happened, but he was going somewhere. I was at the house because we had a recording setup in the kitchen at that point, and he left, and I was just determined. I'm like, I'm gonna make the best song ever he's ever heard in his life. And then he came back, and he was like, honestly, he wasn't the reaction of like, this is amazing. And this was years ago, right? This was like, what, 2019?
2020. Maybe
2020. But then we took it, and he felt like it was a solid foundation. And then we took it, and we endeavored on the process of re-recording it, and it became so much more beautiful than I was so happy with what I had created. But then when he got his hands on it and just like peeled away the layers and just refined it and just took the sandpaper into those like little nooks and crannies, and the layering and the just bringing this, it was just something so special about what we made that into together. You know what I mean?
Truthfully, she just described the process of Taos like for 4 days. That's kind of how we work. It's like, all right, for me, it's like, I can trust you now to just like give me ideas. Like, I can trust your ideas now.
Fire ideas.
Like the ideas are good. Like they're like, keep the faucet flowing. Like, I could billow all of these sparks.
Right.
So that's kind of that. Yeah, I would say that was a turning point where it's like, all right, I don't have to like micromanage the idea phase, the ideation phase, because sometimes it's like, hey, that idea is kind of that's
not good.
Yeah, like
in so many words.
Well, that's a tough conversation to have for a lot of people.
Right?
Especially today, where we're so like, it's not a new
defensive.
Not even defensive, but it's just like we're all so disconnected.
Yes.
In like a real sense. Like, and I'm not breaking any new ground by saying that, but like, social media and smartphones have really just like kind of.
We know.
Like, what do you see when you go to not even a party, like a bar, and there's people like, oh yeah, how's it going? We fit, and you there's like a downward slope of the conversation, and then everyone's just waiting for the one person to go.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is kind of like become a crutch. People don't really know how to work out a proper confrontation, how to work out a proper disagreement.
Yeah.
And then
or to hear something different.
Yeah. And then you put creativity on top of that, and you're so sure of this thing. And then it's like, it's not that good.
Right.
We've been there on so many different fronts, because sometimes it's you're in that position where it's like really not good. Like objectively, that the song doesn't want that The melody doesn't want that. It doesn't go. Those lyrics don't really add to the story. Sometimes it's objectively like, no, we need to cut that, and that's growth too. Recognizing when objectively something is like nah. But there are some whack, yes. But there are some times when, and I feel like I'm really coming into that as an artist in a space where I have a vision for something and I hear something and I'm able to go to bat for it. And it's like, you know, because I know with my creative heart and soul that I'm like, no, the song needs this. Like, just just hear me out. You know what I mean? And he's like, all right, lay it down. Try this, try that. And 24/7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I be doing it on purpose though. I'd be like, all right.
Do you?
Yeah, of course. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would I just give you the pleasure of not like standing up for your idea?
Yeah, I feel that. Like, stand on
Like,
it, you know,
stand on
because
it. Like, tell me why.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to articulate why it's a good idea.
and that comes through in the song
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean? It's this constant dance. You know what I mean? There is, you know,
keep going. I'm gonna check cameras. And stuff.
Okay,
sure.
yeah. You know, when you see like ballroom dancers, there's this. The dance is so beautiful because there's these soft moments and there's this tension, this pulling and this gravity. You know, he's like spinning her out and she almost lets go, but then she spins right back in. Like, there's this beautiful dance, this like push and pull when two people are creating. It can't be all pull. It can't be all push. It has to be a balance. Has to be collaboration, and also each of us has to know what our strengths are and like listen to that other person.
For sure.
Like, this the hook guy. You know what I mean? This the dude with the sauce for the hooks. Like, if I'm like stuck, you know, and I'm like, oh, I want to make, I'm gonna defer to him sometimes and like, hey, you know, this is what I got. Like, what you think? You know, and for me, he has to trust me when I'm like, I feel like my concepts are strong overall. You know what I mean? When I like have an idea and I'm like, this is what I hear and this is what I feel when I hear this production. Like, he's like, okay.
Truthfully, I just like when she takes it there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care what the concept is. Like, you have one. I was a very conceptual artist. I am one. So, like, I just appreciate that when people are just like, yo, this is what I think, beginning, middle, end. I'm like,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right, let's
you need a
capture
strong
that.
vision up front.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're kind of just like, I think you're kind of just swinging in the dark, looking
Yeah.
for something good. But if you go into it with an actual vision, it's like, okay, we have a foundation to build off of. Was it ever a challenge to? Like, do you find yourself getting married to something a little bit too much, like, whether it's from a production side or from a lyrical side, where it's like whether it's like a concept or a specific, even like a specific lyric or a sound you're going for, or just any, do you find yourself getting married to that idea a little too much and it's hard to let that go?
Sometimes it's a gift and a curse. Like, sometimes the idea really does have to come out. And it's like, damn, I can't get it. I don't know. I can't really connect. Like, I can't quite articulate what sound needs to happen here, but I hear the sound in my head. I'm just not able to put it out. But other times it's like demo-itis, where the original that you made, you know, by yourself or, you know, just in the moment on a vibe or whatever is like you're attached to the feeling of making it versus like being able to break it down into the parts that suck to make it better.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm very much in my infancy when it comes to comedy.
Okay.
And I've found myself like having to build that muscle now of like, okay, you might like this line or a setup, but it's not that
It's
good.
not hitting, right?
Either it's not that good or it is good, but you don't have, like, for me, the issue that I'm going to get into is like, I don't have the skill to flesh that out properly. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the shit.
It's like the timing.
Yes, well, it's not even the timing. It's like some of the things that I talk about are, they toe the line.
Okay.
And I'm not good enough yet with like I have stage presence with like my personality, right? I don't want to come off as forceful, and I very easily do that on my day-to-day basis. Like, it's my military background, I'm going to the military, so it's very easy for me to come off as like forceful, and it's like matter of fact
Or like abrasive.
Yeah, abrasive, exactly. It's like, I promise you, all these horrible things I'm saying,
It's all in good fun.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, it's a
Yeah.
matter of like working around that, and then just flat out just like, hey, maybe this line isn't that good, or maybe this concept is good, but you have to work it a different way, look at it from a different point of view,
like sandwich with something else, so that the context kind of gets
exactly.
I've never. I know y'all are talking about this, but I don't really experience that. I don't think there's ever been one moment that I can even point out where I'm like, it has to be that, because I think, and not that there is anything wrong with it. I think it's very common to get demoitis, but I think
Pisces.
the way, I'm a Pisces, so I'm like
very
flowy, you know what I mean? And it's like I might be attached to something. He knows me.
Flowy is how I would describe all of astrology. It's very flowy, it's very loose. We don't know what it is yet.
We know, okay, we know. But yeah, no, I'm like, and maybe that's the way that I've come up kind of under like your tutelage is just like you are aiming for a good song sonically, feeling wise, subject matter wise, just something that hits people, right? And so that's really my goal. If at any moment I'm just like, I get this guy, or like I have a inkling that it's just not it, I can let it go. I don't know. There's not been anything that I held on to so tightly that didn't turn out to be good. The ones that the lines or the songs that I pushed, I feel like they were meant to be, and I can just let go, because I think at one point as a creator, I was like, but that's a really good idea. I won't have another idea like you know what I mean? I feel like that's part of why you get attached, but
nah, that's not how I mean it though.
You always have.
It's like you can always make another one.
You can always make new.
Yeah, for sure. That's facts. You can always make something new. But I feel like sometimes a message has to be delivered and it's sonic or it's verbal, you know? And
I do.
Sometimes I'm like, dang, like I hear it.
Yeah.
Like I have songs in my head that I wrote when I took my trip to Africa that I have yet to actually like put into vibrational form for the world to hear.
What part of Africa did you go to?
I went to Malawi.
What part of the...
It is like southeastern.
East.
Okay.
It's not South Africa. It's like Lake Malawi is bigger than the state of Colorado, mind you. It's wild, right? But
Lake
it's like near
Malawi.
it's near like Zimbabwe, like down in that way.
What did you go out there for?
I had a group of friends from LA that were friends with a woman who had a foundation called Kusawera, which means like play together in the Malawi language of Chichiwe. Truthfully, I was just like, I want to go.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your feet on
I
the motherland.
crowdfunded and made my way out there.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Was it like? And I'm asking this from a point because the part of Africa that I went to was on the east part of Africa. I went to Djibouti. I got deployed there.
Oh, sick.
And it's very impoverished. Was it the same thing over where you went? Was it a little more civilized? Like, what was the?
It was
state of it?
We went into town and kind of saw the more civil parts. But where we were staying was like we were building a community center, like literally like concrete foundation, bricks, everything, all from the ground up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it was aiming to be equidistance between 3 tribes, and an orphanage.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
good for you guys.
Yeah.
Was it the infrastructure that they had existing already? Was that made by them, or is that made by an outside country? Do you know?
They had their infrastructure, but they're also I want to say they definitely are still colonized.
Okay.
Like I think I forget who runs their shit.
Well, because I only asked because because I heard about it going into Djibouti, and because you hear things like, oh yeah, you know, the Chinese government is putting a lot of money in different countries.
There's the ambassador of China actually had a house out there. We drove past it every day.
Yeah, because when I went out there, I was like, okay, you know. I'm here.
What's going on?
Well, because it's like you hear these things where it's like, yeah, like why? Because again, I call like my generation I grew up like the Call of Duty generation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we grew up
Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, America's the best. We are the good guys. We've always been the good guys.
I feel you.
And I still love this country. Like I'm never gonna like turn my back on America, but you know, you crack a history book, and you learn a couple of things. And then I remember going out there and. Like Djibouti's very impoverished. There's Djibouti City, and they're doing okay, but I mean, 90% of the spot is literally just like sheet metal, and
Yeah,
if they're
similar.
lucky, they have plywood out there,
Yeah.
and like their biggest, I guess export technically, like the way that they or import, the way that they get business is they sign the Djiboutian government signs contracts with neighboring countries to include like across the oceans, like Yemen and all them in the Middle East, and these countries will come over and just dump their trash in Djibouti. That'll be their
Yeah.
biggest source of
Wild.
income, and they
Burn it.
douse it in kerosene and light it on fire, and they have burn pits. But anyway, so there's like 90% of the place is just absolutely impoverished, but then the really built up parts of it, the electrical system they have going on, the railroads, their college looks on par with UNM.
Yeah.
All built by the Chinese
Yeah.
government.
Dang.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and I remember thinking to myself, like, all right, so we're over here with military bases and pretty solid weaponry, and and we're providing like good jobs, like providing jobs because they all work on the base, like some of them work on the base, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the commies are building colleges.
Yeah.
I think they're beating us on foreign policy right now.
I feel you.
That's
they're building-
that's a little
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
Africa. Sorry,
There's a lot going on there.
Malawi actually had like a grid system for the electrical.
Yeah.
Like like parts would shut down at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's like 2 hours at a time. Like one section of the city would be like out of power.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
When you have a whole continent where like the world has
Go ahead.
just leached it of all of its resources, Africa's a rich land. So many of our beautiful treasures and necessary, or what we might deem necessary, resources come off that land. So yeah, fast forward to now when you have you're still going to have governments just using
Yeah.
it. It's just they're just using it. China,
Yeah.
other, European, look at, France and Haiti, like they're still taking all of,
Yeah.
and obviously that's not Africa, but we know where those people came from.
No, but it's
and
a
we
good
know
example.
what the,
Yeah.
we know what the, structure of that is that just keeps being repeated. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But it's always amazing. I feel like you probably felt this too, even being over there. You're like, wow, like this is Africa. In any places that you step in that aren't, this
that aren't
country, which is
America,
great.
honestly.
Yeah,
I
it's just,
hate to burst your bubble,
yeah.
but Djibouti looks like the fucking Mesa.
Does it?
It is so.
You weren't in like the beautiful part.
Fuck no!
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
There are beautiful parts of Africa,
Yeah.
and guess what? We saw pictures.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my God, it looked like literally
Yeah.
the only difference between the Mesa and Djibouti is Djibouti had camels.
Thing.
That was
Camels
it.
are pretty cool.
Camels are dope. Camels are dope.
Yeah, Malawi is
They're
beautiful.
cute.
But
Malawi.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it was just desolate as shit
Yeah.
over there.
It's so big. Like people
Yeah.
forget how big Africa is. So you're gonna have,
Yeah.
just desert,
No,
and you're gonna have.
The army does not get sent
Yeah.
to good places.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah,
You weren't on
I don't know.
vacation. You
Yeah.
were, you
Yeah.
were in the military.
It was,
So
it was
I
a very interesting
understand
time.
it, but
But yes, all that to say, yeah, there's still songs in here that I need to get out.
yeah, that's where we landed. But yeah.
One question I have for you guys is, and I feel like you, not on a regular basis, but there have been times where you guys feel this. I'm starting to feel it myself, where it's like, not only do you want to be great at what you're doing, and not for like vanity purposes, but bigger than you are at what you're doing, because you have the skill to do it. But it's like you're trying to. How do you deal with the frustration of like you have the skill to get where you want to go, but it's like how the fuck are we supposed to get there? How do we build the road to get there? How do we punch through the ceiling to get there? How do we and I want to transition out of this subject into make better music Albuquerque, because I think I want to get into the Albuquerque culture a little bit later.
Yeah.
But do you guys feel that, or it's like it's like I have the tools, I want to make the car. How the fuck do we get to the garage?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't call it frustration nowadays. I think that we're in a space now where we're just executing on the plan.
Yeah.
It's like for me, because I kind of seen a little bit of the music industry, like the ugly underbelly side.
But being out in LA and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There used to be a fallacy of like, how do I get there? Like, what is making it? Like, and then I realized that it's like chasing the nothing, because there's always a bigger carrot after you get the one that they had dangled in front of you, you know? So now it's like, okay, how do we, like, how much money do we need to make to run our dream, like, you know, live our dreams? Or like, I don't know. Sometimes I just break it down, like the retreat, like, how much does that cost? Cool. How do we make that happen? Bet. Boom. Here's the money for that. Bow. We're in house.
Yeah. It's just, I think,
You know?
the answer is action.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
like
the best way I could say it.
constantly being in motion.
Capitalizing on my ideas, like, in the moment. That's really what I have to say is been fueling us this last, especially 6 months, you know? Yeah. Action. Like,
Yeah.
literally, I have an idea. Even on the way here, she was like, oh, I have an idea to do boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, bet. Yeah, let's call him, or let's make that happen, like,
Yeah.
as soon as we leave.
A lot of people get stuck in that place with dreams where it feels good. You release endorphins when you're talking about something that you're passionate about and that you love, and it just feels good to kind of like live in that space. But you really have to like get real with yourself and be like, am I like obsessed enough with this to make it happen? Because I feel like that's really what builds the currency and actually lays down the, you know, bricks for the like wall that you're trying to build. If I can use that like analogy, right? It's like, or any project, you know, those are like the steps, right? It's, you have to be doing them. Like you can't expect to dream about it and think about it. All of that is very important. Visualization is very important. When you're not able to like physically do something, you should absolutely be fleshing out all the details in your mind and thinking it through forwards and backwards.
But with the purpose of seeing yourself, like, execute and succeed at that.
Yeah.
Doing
You
those
know.
things.
Well, dreams without action are just fantasy.
It's fantasy,
It's
right?
fantasy.
It's not a real
yeah.
thing.
Well, and you can't cheat time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if we were like, yeah, we're gonna make this album, it's coming out on the 28th, and we just talked about it and never actually took the steps to get it done, we'd be
During
sitting,
that time.
Yeah,
Which
like,
is like, you know,
you know,
it's,
or even on a deeper level, it's like, yeah, I make music, but if you haven't physically made any music in 10, 20, 30, 40 days, like, you can't cheat time. It's, yeah, like, that's gonna show.
One of the best pieces of advice. I've gotten a lot of pieces of advice from this guy, Steph Darnell.
Okay.
One of the best. He's a local comic here, amazing guy. One of the best pieces of advice I got from him was, if you're not consistently, especially at the level that we're all at in Albuquerque, if you're not consistently showing up, doing it, practicing it, working on it, you know, whatever it is, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
As
Oh,
far as the
100%.
actual craft is concerned, it's like, are you actually doing it, or are you just, you know, doing just about the bare minimum to say, just so you can sleep a little
say.
better at night?
yeah. I think that's what I'm, you know, was referring to, is like getting real with yourself, because sometimes we tell people around us and tell ourselves lies, even when we're like, and we know it. You can feel it when you're like kind of stretching that truth with yourself.
Fuck yeah,
You know,
can.
where you're like
you need a
saying
little
these
delusion,
things.
though. You do
yeah.
need a little.
Well,
You
you have
do,
delusion. I think you have enough delusion getting started and getting into it, and then when you
right.
start investing money into it,
Oh, that's facts.
when you start going into debt for it a little
Yeah,
bit, that's enough delusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just flat out lying to yourself. You're saying like, oh yeah, I do this thing, or I will do this thing, but there's nothing.
Yeah,
there's no
but you're
real
not
like
doing it.
behind it. It's like, no, that's just lying.
The wealth, you know, and we've heard people who speak on like wealth building, and they're usually talking about like money.
They're
you know,
selling
currency,
courses.
right?
Yeah.
They're very good. I fucking
Right.
hate those guys. No, okay. There's this one
shouldn't have
guy.
got you started.
He's a fucking fruit and a half. He is this jacked dude. What happens? He's a pretty decent sized guy
Yeah.
that wears super tight shirts, tight pants. They're not even pants. They're like capris.
Leggings?
You know what I mean? They're like capri jeans that end
Yeah.
like halfway through his calf. He's bald and he like yells about,
Yeah.
you know, about like being obsessed with your craft, and
Yeah.
he brings these chubby guys on stage like, take off your shirt, everyone in my company has a six-pack. It's like, fuck you, dude. All right, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And these guys, these fucking money gurus, they're
Yeah.
just like, they're really good, and they're really they speak with conviction. That's a good way they speak
Yeah.
with conviction. They're very good public speakers, and they can get people that may or may not actually want to make their lives better.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
hey man, buy my. Hey, listen,
But-
if you just buy my $500 a month course, I
Yeah.
will show you financial success in 10 years. It's like,
All
shut the
you
fuck
need to
up.
do is not, you know, yeah, I'm sure some of them have some good resources and stuff, but listen, 'cause some of what they're saying is true. That's what I was going to say. Like wealth. I did hear one guy, I think it was, it was a chick, Layla Hermosi. And
her husband have something.
Yeah,
they have, yeah.
I haven't looked enough into their stuff,
you know,
but people that I trust like them,
Yeah.
and I've seen some of their clips.
Yeah.
They have something going.
And
you just got to realize that they've specifically Alex. He's become a millionaire 100 times. Like he's made $100 million in his life. So some of the shit he's saying is a little like over your head. Like you got to realize he's not speaking to the person who's making 50 grand. He's speaking to the person that's trying to scale $500,000 into $1 million. You know,
Well, I don't smell bullshit on him as much as, because again, that's a good way to put it. Because it's like, it's more of, I don't get what you're saying due to like, I'm just not in that space.
Yeah, it's like
I could go to a mechanic, you know, where they all have GEDs, but they know exactly what they're doing with any vehicle that I bring with them. Then they can break it down how to do this.
Yeah.
I just won't know because I'm not in that space.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's like authenticity is like the real like
100%.
currency, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you got these other guys that are fucking running testosterone and yelling
Just-
at fat people.
Yeah.
Then it's like, all right, dude, come the fuck
Right.
up. But anyway,
Yeah,
the
you get
guy's
a-
wife.
Speaking to Layla.
I was just saying that, you know, really what you're fishing out in all that bullshit is like the mindset, because there is something special about you. Because I was even complaining about it. It's just like, oh, you say all of these things of how to brainwash yourself to be rich and all these things, but actually, yes, like you can pick out some of those things, like the wealthiest people, and even if we're not talking about money, we're talking about art as currency and creation as currency, because that is like a wave, right? And my current, as I you know, maximize my creative ability, that should with hard work and dedication and consistency bring me make it real for me to be able to live off of my craft, right? So that's why I'm saying currency. But the distance between having a thought and doing something, shrinking that is one of those things. And I think that's what Scott's talking about when he talks about action and how, you know, not getting frustrated, not saying like, oh, I have all of these things, like what I know I can make it, what can I, you know, what can I really do? It's like, just do.
Put it on paper.
You put it
That's
on
the first thing
paper,
you should do.
measurable steps, do those things.
Like truthfully, like if you look at the lifestyle that you want, put that number on paper. Oh, it would cost me $4,272 to buy this many pairs of shoes every month and wear this much type of whatever, and just for real, and drive this type of car. Put that on paper and like try to figure out how to get to that.
There is something to that. I remember when I was in college, the guy who ran the military school that I went to, he became a bit of a mentor of mine, and he kept telling all of us like, hey, if whatever your goals are for the semester, write them down. And he was like, he was obviously very military. He's like, you know, statistically speaking, 78% of people who write down their goals are the ones that complete it. And a lot of my friends were like, okay, that's a fucking crock of shit. That's a crock of shit. Yeah, you want me to talk about star signs too? You fucking weirdo. But then I was like, no, you know what? This guy may or may not know a little bit of something about something. Sure enough, it fucking worked.
Right.
Yeah.
In the beginning of this year, Steph said the same thing. There's a writing class that happens on Sundays at the comedy club. And he said that. He's like, write down whatever your goals are for the year and just go from there.
Yeah.
And I knocked out all 3 of them by March. And I was like,
That's what's
fuck, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not big on, like manifestation, but, like...
But that's what it is.
There's something to it.
That's the scientific part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, doing it, seeing it, like, right? There's something,
Yeah.
you can
and
feel that.
And if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's, like, just going through your day-to-day life or, like, whatever creatively you're trying to do, if you're supposed to be doing that... and if you go through with the right intentions, again, not to sound hokey, but like doors start to open.
No, they
like,
will.
Things just start to kind of happen. Where it's like, oh no, I'm supposed to be here right now. This kind of feels right.
Humans are both electrical and magnetic, and magnets work.
Starting to sound like Terrence Howard. What's up,
Yeah,
dude?
that's my dude. That's my guy. But real talk, like you attract the things that you align with. You know what I mean? So like, truthfully, if your electrical magnetic field, because you're a human, and that's literally what surrounding you at this moment, like all 3, we all got them. Yeah. Like if you start aligning that frequency with the things that you really want, and like you start doing the things that align with, like come with what you really want, like that's gonna start aligning.
Because you tend to find the same people or the like-minded people that are doing that thing.
Real talk.
Collaborating on that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It's like, there's something there. Again, I'm not smart enough to like debate it, but and now I'm only about an hour and a half into his solo episode because I saw that he just did another episode with Rogan
Oh, snap.
with him and Eric Weinstein.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't. I
Yeah,
haven't
they did a
yet.
debate.
Nice.
It came out yesterday. It's 4 hours long, so I'm very excited for that. But my point is like, there's some. He was mentioning something about like, yeah, humans activating on a frequency, and when the right humans are together doing the right thing, or doing like a collective action that like amplifies the
Yeah, it's
frequency
quantified.
and just makes things better. It's like
Yeah.
there's something.
Yeah.
There's something to that.
Yeah.
It's like a Scorsese and a De Niro. Like they're doing,
Yeah, yeah.
they're both like-minded.
Yeah.
They're very talented, and so they just put out these amazing films.
For sure.
And then just musicians. You guys are on some sort of fucking frequency together, and it just makes sense when you have
And now you
something
have
like
CQ.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. We definitely lock in. You know, I literally, I'm glad you came back to that because that's what I was gonna say. Like there is something so special about our creative, like we're partners, but it's different. You know, there do have to be like some boundaries. Like when we get into that creative space, it's like, you know, you're my love and, you know, my king and all of that. But in this space, we're giving birth to like ideas. We're giving birth to like something that's inside of us. We're going to materialize that in the form of sound. Like think about how like crazy that is. If you want to get hokey,
No,
it's
you
like
got to put the craft first.
right, yeah, and you do. You have to you know, go in that space and like, because that's a big undertaking. If you hear it, it might sound like very mystical, and it kind of is. That's what I experience anyway. It feels very like a very spiritual act to create. You know,
Well, it is because you're pulling things out of thin air.
Yeah.
literally,
You know, it's like
from the depths of you.
Yeah.
You know,
Like imagine if there is just whether it's inside of you or around you, there are ideas that you may or may not want to use.
yeah,
And if you could like see them, if there's like different planes that exist, what creatively what you're doing.
yeah,
I smoke a lot of weed these days. You're like reaching out and you're like, yeah, I like that one. I like that one. That one kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And you're just pulling these different things out.
Facts.
It's all in your brain. Like you can't like, I don't know, like people, whether it's musicians, comedians, performers, people, it's very easy to look at that and be like, oh, what a crock of shit. Or like, oh, that's so, I could go up there and be funny, or I could go up there and sing. And it's like,
Yeah.
by all
please,
means.
please. Like, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan. I'm just, her music doesn't really appeal to me. I've listened to her stuff. I'm just not the biggest fan of what she does. But I respect the shit out of it. I mean, holy
Because she does
hell.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. If you gave me all the money she's making right now up front, I don't know that I could create that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there is
Yeah.
there is something special to that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
One, I do want to respect you guys' time. So the last topic I want to get into is what this says is make better music. Specifically here in Albuquerque. What is... Because I don't want to... It's easy to... I don't want to speak exclusively disparagingly, but like... What is... I brought this up on a podcast that I did in one of my buddies' pod after I came back from Austin. Because I went out there and I experienced their comedy community, and I was just like... Oh my God. Like
Was it different?
everyone, they're killers. All of them. Like 95% of the comedy I saw out there, going from Rogan's Club to a 12 in the morning open mic at the Creek in the Cave. 95% of them were killers.
That's fire.
Monsters. Like there's this one guy out there, his name's Dylan Sullivan. He did 5.5 minutes on drunk driving. I had this little piss poor 55-second joke about drunk driving, and I'm never even gonna work on it again. Because he achieved everything that I wanted out of my joke. I'm like, oh, that's 9 years of experience. That's what that looks like. But even some guys are doing it 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. I'm like, oh my God. And like the community is built around, like it is like the new comedy capital of the world. And that's on top of it already being like the live music capital of the world.
That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I come back to Albuquerque and I'm like, okay, I love being here. I'm genuinely very thankful that I'm starting out comedy here.
Yeah.
Right? Starting out creative endeavor here. But it's like, what is it about Albuquerque? It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like, what's holding us back?
Yeah.
Like,
I'll let Scott
and I'm
speak
leaving
to
that. I'm leaving that open-ended purposefully.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I feel like I can answer what's holding us back by answering what make better music specifically means. Better sense essentially means be better since yesterday. And make better music BTTR, means be okay with making. It kind of encompasses the questions that we even addressed today. It's like, be okay with letting go that first idea to like create a better one, especially collaboratively with people who are, on the same path as you, trying to make music at the highest caliber. And I think if you are a good enough, like, mindseted artist, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that was good enough. Sometimes you may not even know that you are a good enough type artist. But if you're not the type of person that, like, Kobe was my favorite player, Mamba mentality type style, like, then you might be a good enough type artist or comic or videographer or whatever the case may be. Like, if you're not with all of your being every time you step into your craft, trying to like do it at the highest caliber, then, like, that's why we're not Austin.
Is that how you define obsession?
That is how I define the perfect unhealthy work-life balance to get to your goals. Because you can't have a balanced life if you like really say you love to do something. Like if you play basketball, Albuquerque is a huge high school sports city, right?
Yeah.
All of these kids, like, their parents push them to do that more than anything because they want to get them to the next level, right?
They're like, well, we're already 51st in education, so even
like,
if you get straight A's, you're a dumbass.
Yeah.
So learn how to shoot that ball.
Literally. And I remember being in high school, like, I had to create an unhealthy school basketball relationship because I love basketball. So, like, currently my passion in my life is music. So I ensure that everything I do is like encompassing that. Otherwise, like, it's not going to work. There's people that are already doing it at a high level. There's people that aren't even as good as half the people in the city, but they're in the right place at the right time, or they're just driven. Like, if you're not driven, like, you're not going to go nowhere. You could be the most talented.
Yeah, and it's good that you pair those two things together, the right place at the right time and being driven, because you can have not as much talent as the other guy,
right.
But if you're just consistently chipping away at the marble
100.
And the right opportunity comes, it's like people can look at you and be like, all right, well, maybe he's not or she is not the best around, but
they're around.
They're around, yeah. They're around. They clearly work hard. They appear to be reliable.
They're teachable,
being teachable.
Yeah.
It's like, let's throw them a bone.
That's a big one.
Let's see what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
It's hard to be teachable when, like, you think, Erykah Badu said, the man who thinks he knows nothing at all. So, like, the man who thinks he knows everything knows nothing at all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I feel like sometimes a mentality that we struggle with. It's like, I'm like, a lot of people are just like, I already know. There's no one better than me that I can learn from or work with or anything.
And
everybody wants
work
to be
with you, dude.
Yeah,
right.
Everybody wants to be like the king and stuff, but there's always going to be somebody better than you. There's always going to be a better way you can do it.
Don't you want there to be a better person or be a better way to do things? If
right.
you are, like,
the pinnacle,
you in your form right now, I don't know about you guys, but me right now, and whatever I do in my life, whether it's podcasting, stand-up, whatever, if this is the best I'm ever going to be, that is depressing.
No, for sure. That's real.
That's a great way to... That's depressing as shit. Like, I've already hit the ceiling?
Right.
Well, then what am I really working for?
Well, then what are we doing? Yeah.
What are we doing? Exactly, what are we doing here? It's like we're literally just running in circles, but your lungs aren't getting any healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm fortunate because, like, when I drop an album, I can be like, oh, yeah, that's the best music I've ever made. And then certain time to drop an album, I'm just a producer mostly, and it's like, damn, this is the best music I've ever produced. And then I go back to make my album, I'm like, dang, this music is the best music I've ever made. And then it's like,
that's what I mean? A good point. You should feel like that. There is a fine line, right? Because you should definitely feel confident in your creations and like stand on it, like we talked about earlier. But
have the confidence to be like, I'm like here. I'm here to do this thing, but it's also like I could be better.
I can always do more, right? And that definitely is the philosophy that we embody at Better Sense when it comes to creating. Is like never. Something can be to the level and it can be ready, but like, is it ready to be released, right? But not necessarily the mindset of like, oh, well, it's good enough, right? No, is it ready,
Complacency's killed more dreams than people have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I suffered to complacency. Like, I fell victim to complacency for over a year, and it just created stagnance, Like, whether it was like, oh man, like I'm nice, I'm the best, blah blah blah, like stagnant, or it's like man, should I keep going? Like, stagnance. Like, fuck it.
Was that a maturity thing? Was that an inexperience thing?
It was both. I think today I just feel really set in every step I have being in my purpose. And that purpose is, the mission. If you go to the website, we're dedicated to essentially like creating high caliber music, putting that out, high caliber events, bringing the people together, and shifting and elevating the perspective of creativity and creative output.
Yeah. So it's
long story short,
for the
getting rid of the good enough attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad mindset's a real killer thing.
Right. It's just mindset. The only thing that separates Albuquerque from other cities is mindset.
Because the body wants to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't want discomfort. It doesn't want... Because you don't get the endorphins of discomfort until the discomfort is over.
Mm-hmm.
You have to enter it first.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to actually start, whether it's exercise, actually sitting down and working out whatever creative thoughts you have,
Right.
or just doing something over, like getting the reps in.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't get like I said, the positive endorphins of doing that until it's done. But then if the body or the mind, you can place them, like, well, we already did this thing today, so we can put that off, or there's still time tomorrow, or it's the Apollo Creed from Rocky 3, where he's yelling at Rocky, there is no tomorrow.
Right.
So it's, the complacency can really kill things. Just real quick, what are some artists, or who are some artists in town that you guys enjoy working with?
Shoot. We mentioned him last time we were on your show, but we got a Pocket Elephant session after this. He's a pleasure. I think that the best way to answer that is, like, who might we want to work with? Because we're kind of not working with a lot of people, and that's not because we're choosing not to. We just really been in our own lane. Like,
That's not a bad thing.
yeah, just, like, really capitalizing.
That's honestly what I kind of expected you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's really not
It's like, me, bitch. I work with me.
Yeah, like, she's my favorite person to work with, and, like, truthfully shutting myself away and, like, mulling out my own thoughts, my own ideas is one of my biggest pleasures too, because I do wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of shit. I do, we got events popping off. We got, I'm doing the merch designs and, flyer designs and cover arts, and on top of the music and the mixing and the mastering, and
That's crazy.
and then like, I'm uploading the music and I'm making sure it's registered properly, and I'm handling the publishing.
What do you mean
back.
registered properly?
So every song that goes out has to essentially have the correct metadata, and when you upload it, you have to make sure that that metadata is translated across all of the platforms that collect your money.
God bless doing podcasting, dude. I don't have to worry about metadata ever.
Well, you should. If you get your metadata right, like, your podcast will start showing up in places that you didn't.
Okay, so
know
explain a
that
little
they
more.
were.
We'll talk.
We'll have let's later, bro. Just call me,
we'll
bro.
talk,
Hit me. We'll talk about it, because
Yeah.
when we don't do a lot of videos, honestly. I want to. Shout outs for Breach, but we gotta lock in. When we did the manifest video, I did a lot of studying on that back end side, like the metadata and things of that nature, and pairing that with literally an ad run of $1 a day, like $1 every day for 2 weeks, 22K views.
Nice.
So it wasn't like the budget was crazy. It was just like, let me see what I could do. Yeah, it was the implementation, like lining up the metadata properly. There's a couple things I could show you that show you the back end of other people's platforms, and you can literally just like mirror that. And sure enough, it'll be like Joe Rogan, somebody watching Joe Rogan, and then next thing, it'll be like OnlyKings podcast suggested, just because your metadata is lined up right. Interesting. Yeah, man. So Better Sense isn't just music. We got a lot of gems, at Better Sense in this brain. Awesome. You get a lot of value coming over here.
That's awesome. Well, and hey, not for nothing, man, but it shows in your guys' product.
Yeah, I appreciate
you guys.
that.
I still listen to Hard Eyes on an almost weekly basis.
It's still a classic. Yeah.
Shit's good, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shit is fucking good.
Thank you, man.
Do you guys have any upcoming like events, shows?
Go ahead.
So one thing that we've really been focusing on that Scott was talking about are these artist showcase. That's a really big part of how we are touching the community right now, specifically the creative community, giving artists a platform to, really get that experience, performing their art for a crowd. You know, that experience is so valuable because it really catapults within you, like, hey, like I can do this. It builds your confidence, it builds your, you know, skill set. You get a chance to practice. It builds your exposure. Maybe you're someone that has been doing it, but you just haven't been able to be in front of audiences. So that's where we're doing these artist showcase. The next one is going to be July 26th at Launchpad, one of our favorite spots.
It's called Better Bops.
Better Bops. This is the second one. We did the last one at the El Rey Mezzanine, and it was amazing. Just
shout out Daniel Thomas.
Daniel Thomas headlined that one. We got Tet the God on this next one.
Macchiato. I don't know if you heard of Macchiato.
Yeah,
they're it's like a Native American trio. They're like them, like literally like they're driving down from the res.
Yeah,
pull up.
lyricists.
But nice lyrical assassins, man.
Yeah.
Like honestly, they're some of my favorite people to
Crazy.
work with. When they do pull up to the studio, like I don't ever have to sweat or worry about like the ideas being whack.
Yeah. It's all good.
like, yeah.
You know, we got the females, Where Shannon and Siobhan. And it's just gonna
Kill
be
by Nature. Kill by Nature is gonna be on there too. I don't know if
Yeah.
you heard of him, but he's one of the.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, he's
That's
cool,
very
man.
familiar.
Yeah, he's got a dope vibe. He just dropped a reel the other day that I was a really big fan of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are the events. We've got some dates that are solidified, but I won't spill them just yet in the future. But we put everything on www.bettersense.com. So BTTRSNC. The website houses all of the event information. You can join the community. And
We got her
get
album for
updates.
sale,
Yeah.
direct to consumer. Pay what you want, but the minimum is $15.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of good things coming, and more music. Even as we, you know, are pushing CQ, and I'm just wanting everybody just give it a listen. Whether you're like cleaning your house, whether you're going for a ride, whether you're
It's
with
good.
your lover.
It's good.
I had a
I
homie.
like it a lot.
Thank you.
I had a homie who voice messaged me just one comment about it, and he just whistled.
It was like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
just clean. But even on the heels of that, you know, we're creators. I can't just like turn that off, right?
Yeah.
You can't just turn that off. So
Yeah.
there will be more music.
Nice.
You know, you were saying you wish there were more than 7 tracks, but it's coming. So I just want people to, you know, lock in, tap in, and I hope that this project just really inspires people to especially other female artists, because there's not female R&B artists. If you
Pop
are hearing
out.
this and you are in New Mexico, tap in, because I just want it to inspire other female R&B, soul, funk artists.
I really like working
Yeah.
with vocalists, honestly,
Yeah.
male or female, but like I end up just utilizing specifically her voice like an instrument.
Yeah.
You know, like textually. I feel like that's why this album, like all her music comes out so cohesive, because
That's how you speak to your ladies. You guys just see that? Did you just see how she looked at him? Jesus Christ!
I'll have to run it back
I
because
would
I
have
didn't
fallen
see
in
it.
love.
I didn't see it.
Did y'all see that?
Oh man.
Anyway, you were saying. No,
Really,
seriously,
yeah.
you were saying.
No, man, I just feel
Yeah.
like like literally like if like you know female vocalists, like truthfully come have a session, like come get a session,
Yeah.
like because there's nothing like being a vocalist if you've never really heard your voice like really
Buttery.
shine, like buttery smooth,
Yeah.
man. It's
Glistening,
it's just
sparkling.
different. It's just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
You know, I had a homie the other day, you know, shout out Moses Keyshawn, like he is probably one of the literally top 3 rappers that I've ever met from this city, you know, and he was even just like, bro, like how you know my voice already?
Yeah.
Like we've only done maybe 2 sessions together when the other one was like a year ago. He was like, yo, how you know my voice already? It's just, I just feel like I'm just feeling based. Like my mentor, Kenny Riley, he told me mix for the feeling. Like find a song that makes you feel a certain way.
Shout
that
out
gives
to
you,
Kenny Riley, dude.
Kenny's, yo, that's my, like dead ass.
He's
the
You know,
shit.
he said, find a song that makes you have goosebumps and mix for that feeling. So like truthfully, whether I'm mixing or producing or writing or whatever, like just tracking the vocals, like I do it for that goosebump feeling. You know, and so like if you come to Better Sense, that's the feeling that we're gonna get. Like your music will create goosebumps for yourself. If it don't, then it's not gonna make goosebumps for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't love what you're doing, nobody else will.
Right.
Yeah.
No one's gonna love it for you.
Right.
Listen, I would love to have you guys back. I love talking to you guys.
Man, it's been real.
You guys are the shit.
Appreciate you.
We're talking about the website, but where can people find you on like Instagram and all that?
Yeah, my handle on Instagram is at Clarq, CLARQ.music, also with a Q at the end. And mostly I'm on, just go to Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all the platforms.
Yeah, man. At M Scott Loves Life or at Better Sense, you know.
Fuck yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys very much.
Appreciate
It's
you.
been a serious pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
No, we got to do this again.
Absolutely.
This was a lot of fun.
Very soon.
Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yes,
Bye, everybody.
sir.
That was fun.
Yeah.
You guys are the shit.